Good evening, and welcome to the Raven House of Mysterious Happenings. In tonight's book review, we're going to travel to the English countryside and to that mysterious and isolated estate known as Eel Marsh House. So, if your bags are packed and you're ready, here we go. The Woman in Black by Susan+Hill. Now, this story is set in England at the turn of the 20th century, and it tells the story of Arthur+Kipps, who is a young attorney living in London and has been given an assignment to head to the English countryside up north to the town of Crichton, Gifford, and to help settle the estate of Mrs. Alice Drablow, and to go through her papers and her personal effects in her home on Eel Marsh House. Eel Marsh House is a very interesting place since it's located on a causeway that is only accessible when the tide is low. So the house is really isolated at times during high tide, and the only way to get there is when the tide is low by a horse and carriage. So not long after Arthur+Kipps arrives in town that he attends the funeral of Mrs. Alice Drablow, where he meets a couple of the people in the town. He also gets his first look at this mysterious woman in black who's standing back ways in the graveyard among some headstones, and but Arthur can't tell who she is, and no one in the village that he's with seems to even acknowledge that they even see her, which he finds somewhat strange, but he kind of puts it in the back of his mind. He then proceeds to hire a horse and carriage to take him to Eel Marsh House, where he gets a look at the estate for the first time and makes plans to go through the estate papers and spend the night in the house. Of course, it is while Arthur+Kipps is at Eel Marsh House that strange occurrences start happening. There's a child crying in the night. There's a horse and carriage that he hears, but he can't see, not in the mist outside or anywhere. And there's a nursery that is locked and he can't seem to find the key for. And he also sees the woman in black again walking around the grounds of the house. And this kind of makes him very nervous. He's wondering who this woman is and why is she hanging around the house, and is it safe for him to be out there in this isolated place. And this really he gets scared, and he's able to get back to the town the next day when the horse and carriage come to pick him up. However, once he's back in the town, he kind of finds the courage to want to go back and learn more about the house and maybe find out who this mysterious woman in black is. So Arthur kind of takes it upon himself to learn what he can about Mrs. Drablow and the house, and both in the town and also in returning every day to the Eel Marsh House and learning what he can among the papers there. And it's a real mystery that he has to unravel about this woman in black and what these strange occurrences are at Eel Marsh House. I really liked this book. I thought it was very well written. Susan+Hill did a great job of conveying kind of the spooky, dark atmosphere of the story. It's not a very long book, but it certainly is a great study in atmospheric Gothic storytelling. It kind of has a very classic feel to it, even though the story was published in 1989. But yeah, Susan+Hill really kind of makes the story move along good, and there's kind of a sense of moodiness and kind of like impending doom about who the woman in black is and what is it she wants from Arthur+Kipps. I also like the fact that there were little touches of humor within the story as well. Susan+Hill tells the whole story from Arthur+Kipps' perspective, and we really get his insights but it's also kind of fun how he kind of like, he spends the night in Eel Marsh house, and then he gets scared, he goes back to the town, but then he finds the courage to return to want to learn more. It's kind of like he's almost fighting himself, like, I want to know more about what's going on, but I'm almost too scared to go back to the house. And I actually found that kind of a little lighthearted and kind of funny, which made this book more enjoyable. So it also works, it also works with a little bit of a sense of humor too, and I think that really makes it a great story as well. Now, in regards to the film that's coming out next month with Daniel Radcliffe starring, I believe it opens February 3rd. And I'm only going by the trailer. Obviously, I haven't seen the film yet, but just based on what I've seen on the trailer, it looks like the film is going to follow the general premise of the book, but obviously they're going to expand on some elements. There's some scenes in there that are out of the book, and then there's obviously some new stuff. But that could be really good, though. I'm actually looking forward to the film now that I've read the book. It'll be interesting to see how the filmmakers will expand on the story, and I think it'll be a lot of fun. But the book itself is great. It's a great study in atmosphere and gothic ghost story. Plenty of mystery elements, and it's just a really good story. And it's just it's great and definitely worth reading. Well, that's about it. Thank you as always for listening.